Okay, so now that you have a general understanding of what HTML is and how it can be used, we're going to take a look at CSS, Cascading Style Sheets, because they're going to play a very important role in the look of our page a little bit later on. So, Rob, why don't you tell us a little bit about CSS?
Okay, let's get into it. Before we do that, let's take a look at something else I noticed earlier. I minimized my window a few seconds ago, and I noticed I have a little bug. And if you roll over the bug, you notice it says contains one or more invalid links. So let's take a look at what that means.
Cool. Your website has bugs.
Your website has bugs. Basically, what it's trying to tell you is that you either have a broken link or something is just not working. And so if I click on the little bug up here, show link warnings.
Wow, it actually highlights the
problem.
It
highlights your problem.
Very cool.
And so if I click on my image, I can see I have an empty reference.
Wow, it highlights the whole thing.
It sure does.
Very nice.
So you can fix that up here. You can fix it in your code. It even shows you down here. And if you look down here, which is another interesting thing, it's showing you a complete trail of what you have selected. In other words, where the cursor is at the moment.
Relative to all of the tags you have in your source code.
Right. Like, so I've got in the text here. You notice that we were talking about how the table structure is built. It builds a table, then it builds a row, then it builds a cell, and then whatever's in the cell.
So you can actually follow that line to get all the way into your code to your current location.
And if you start clicking anywhere back here, it'll take you to that position.
Wow.
So
that is very cool. And it's actually selecting it as you click on it.
Exactly.
Excellent.
So that's a very cool little shortcut.
All right.
Okay.
Well, do you want to go ahead and clean out some of that stuff that we threw in there?
This is not going to be our actual page. Let me get rid of that.
All right.
And close our heading up here. Just hit delete, and it'll all go away. And let's give it a real name for the website. What's the name of the company again?
Stones Logging Incorporated.
How's that?
That looks great.
Okay. We'll keep it just like that, and let's save him. Let's close that.
Oh, wait. Wasn't it Stones River Logging?
Stones
Yeah,
River.
It was Stones River Logging.
Good point.
It's now been several minutes beyond the bounds of my attention span.
There we go. I'm glad you're paying attention.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to close this window.
Okay.
Hit save. Yes. Okay. Now let's check out our CSS folder. Now, when we created the site, Adobe GoLive automatically built this folder and put a basic CSS file in here. And when it created the index page, it automatically linked it. So when you go into the source of the index page, you'll see right here, it's linking to CSS, basic CSS.
Gotcha, which is the same thing we have in there.
Exactly. And
cool.
So let's click on it.
All right.
Open it up.
Whoa. And we get the CSS editor.
Right. This is a brand new editor. Not for GoLive, but it's for us.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, before you really get into what this editor is and what it does, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what CSS is and why it's important?
Right. Okay. Well, CSS is really all about the visual styles of HTML pages.
What does CSS stand for?
CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. And let's look at the source code of a CSS file. So in other words, it's a plain text file, just like HTML is, and it has a structure, and the structures talk about the different HTML elements. And you can create your own classes, you can create your own ID tags, and those are things that will help you describe your document to the web browser, essentially.
So what is the general idea of CSS? I mean, to the layman, what is CSS used for?
CSS is pretty much all about the look of the page.
It's a way to separate the content and the style, the look of your web page.
Right. The HTML has the structure, and the CSS has the look.
Okay.
So what we're going to be focusing on mainly in this tutorial is how CSS affects the look of the text.
All right. Very cool.
Some people are using CSS to lay out pages, and GoLive will do that too. And we'll have some examples of that later on, but we'll be mainly working with tables.
All right.
Okay, it's just an alternate way of doing it.
All right.
Okay, so if you remember earlier, we had an A tag.
Yep.
That described a link.
Yes, it did.
Okay, and so if you have an A tag here, these are different states meaning when you hover over a link, it's going to change to the color purple.
Ah, yeah.
If you've been to that link before, it will be a purple link.
That's very common on the internet too.
That's right. So this is like your standard web page colors.
Sure, kind of default colors.
Default colors. And so CSS, one of the superpowers of CSS is that you can actually tell it to change anything in the HTML. So, for example, on the body tag, now the body encloses everything in your web page.
Okay.
So you can change the default color, like the default color of the font will be black in this case, and the background color will be white. So if I were to go in here, let's go back to this is a different way of seeing the exact same thing that we were looking at.
This is the more of the standard like layout version, like what we were seeing earlier with our web page.
Right.
We have the easy way to see it and the source code way to see
This is the GoLive way of doing it.
Yeah.
To keep you out of the source code. We have something that has affected our text and something that has affected the color of the background.
Okay.
Now, let's briefly look at this.
Oh, I get it. So the left icon of the A is for our text, and the little grid dotted thing back there
if
is
nothing
for our
is being affected, this area will be blank, just like in here.
Gotcha.
Okay. So we have our tabs up here. Different tabs up here affect different parts or different properties.
Okay. And what kind of things are they going to affect?
Well, you can affect the color of the text, the background color of the text, the style, the weight.
The A up here is for text.
Right. The A is for text, font properties. And the text properties refer to the alignment and things like capitalization, indentation. This area will affect an entire block.
Okay.
Meaning, we'll get into that later.
Okay.
But if you lay out a block of text, you can affect the entire block, like the width and height, and things like that. We have margin and padding. Margin and padding. And it will affect an entire area. You can add padding to your block of text.
So you have like full document formatting.
Oh yeah, it's pretty powerful. Border and outline properties.
Wow.
So you can add a thick border. You can add a solid dotted line, dashed, all kinds of different settings here. The thickness of the border, the color of the border. List items. List items are a special kind of HTML tag.
Okay.
Where you can have, when you have a list of things that are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can actually set those properties of how far it's going to be indented, what style it's going to be, what the position is, things like that.
And this keeps you from having to hard code it in HTML.
Right.
Excellent.
Right. And so this all affects the background. You can put an image in the backgrounds of a cell or a table or a layer.
Right.
Yeah. So this is all very powerful, and we'll be using it quite a bit during our website creation. Okay.
All right. So I guess that's everything you wanted to talk about in this brief introduction to CSS?
Yes.
All right. So that'll wrap it up for this video. Thanks a lot.